today, continuing our trend of visiting with farmers and ag professionals here across the state of Kentucky to kind of talk about how we can help beginning farmers and tell beginning farmer stories. And today we get the privilege of meeting with Travis Cleaver today to talk about his farming operation. And so Travis, welcome. Thanks for letting us come out and visit with you a little bit today. Just wanted to start off with, I guess, just give us a little background about your operation, kind of how you got into the business and what's brought you into the world of farming.
Well, first of all, thanks for coming to visit. The way we got into farming is my family grew up as tobacco farmers and small-time tobacco growers like most people in central Kentucky. And I always had a passion for cattle, so we bought a few cows, a few pigs, and realized that in order to pay for the farm, we couldn't do it by selling at the stockyards. So we started direct marketing beef, direct marketing pork, and then that brought on the added with chickens and the vegetables, and we just slowly over time just grew a little bit more and a little bit more by adding different entities.
So what was it that made you, so you started off with beef, you said?
Started off with beef.
And then what, was there anything, was it purely paying the bills that brought you into doing the value-added work, or was there anything else that brought you to that?
The value-added part was brought on to us because it was leaving too much meat on the bone. We wasn't getting enough of the money, so in order to get more of the money, we had to do more of the work and get the customer base. And the customer base, for me, made me enjoy the farming that much more because now you build more relationships. It's not like you spend all season growing something and you send it to the stockyards and you don't know the end product. Here, we know we're providing the family with a good product. We know we're helping them and they're helping us, so it's a win-win situation.
Gotcha. So are you dealing directly with consumers, or are you selling your products more wholesale, or who's your target customer on what you're doing?
Our most valued customer is the mother or the family that we're bringing food to their home. But because we do that by having a vegetable stand, we do an 18-week CSA, we do a meat buyers club throughout the winter. But as we've grown in time, now we are fortunate enough that we deliver to companies like Black Soil, IGA, Priceless. So we've grown into some wholesale markets, but we're still bread and butter is still more of a direct to consumer where we deal directly with the families.
So I think that's pretty cool what y'all doing then with that. I think being able to work with different farms and different families and provide them a meal, that's pretty awesome. What about whenever you got into it, you're pretty diverse now.
Yes.
So how did you go about deciding, when it was time to diversify from doing beef and doing pork, how did you decide to add in vegetables, and then how did you add in crops to your different rotations? What was the thought process there?
We kind of fell into this. We started out as just growing watermelons for another grower, and then as time got moved on, then we started a co-op with the help of KCARD. They helped us start a sweet potato co-op. So then we were just doing wholesale sweet potatoes and watermelons just to have some money during the off season of our beef and pork. And we seen a niche there, so we started adding a few more tomatoes, a few more cucumbers. Started out with maybe a 1/4 acre garden. I think now we're up to 8 acres of vegetables and 4 H2A workers.
Wow. Okay. So H2A workers. So that's another question we get a lot too about farm labor.
Yes.
Kind of, if you don't mind, share us a little bit about how that transition happened from you and family doing the work to hiring people to start doing stuff and then transitioning into H2As.
The reason for the H2A program for us was we had got to the size where we couldn't pick the vegetables on Friday and get them there on Saturday and get finished in time. And then you couldn't pick during the week because we're all working public work. So we slowly added 2 gentlemen. But once again, we called KCARD, talked to Mr. Lackey. He took us to some other farmers that he had previously worked with. They took us around and told us about how the program worked. And then we added 2 guys. We kept 2 guys for 2 years and then moved up to 3, and now we're up to 4. So it's been a game changer because now, but we had to increase the production because now we've increased the payroll. So we had to increase more vegetables or more chickens or more pigs because now we got to find ways to pay these guys that are working so well for us.
Gotcha. And I think that's a big part of running a business, right? Is you kind of see where the short points are, and that's where your labor came in. But then when you got the labor to be able to manage the workflow, then you got to make sure you got enough to keep them busy to keep them here with you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's got to be enough work for them to do, but there's also got to be enough checks coming in to keep them satisfied because they're sacrificing so much. They're coming here, they're leaving their family behind, they're staying 18 weeks with us, or maybe one guy stays 6 months with us, and that's a whole big ask to ask somebody to come work 20 hours a week. So you got to have production, and with them, you definitely gonna get production with them because they're by far not lazy men. They're hard workers. They're just part of the family now because one guy's been with us 6 years, another guy 5. So I mean, they know the operation just as well as anybody.
And we get asked this, and it's, I farm too, so it's a question that I have sometimes when I talk to people who have H2As. But how did you go about finding the H2A folks that started with you 6 years ago? Like, what was the thought process to find folks you felt like would fit into your operation?
When you first start out, you start out with a company called AWMA. They're based out of Lexington. You go to them, met a lady named Donna. She found me 2 gentlemen. Then once you get guys established here, then they'll be your recruiting team. And it's a very family-oriented, everybody that works for us is somehow related. We've got an uncle and a nephew, and we got 2 brothers. So when you need another person, they'll find them for you then. But AWMA is who gets you started. And then once you get your guys, they'll start recruiting from their community because they know who has good work ethic, who doesn't. So they don't want to bring somebody here that they got to work with for 6 months that's not going to carry their weight. So let them do the picking. It usually works best.
So I guess we've talked a little bit about crops. We've talked a little bit about your livestock. Would you mind to tell us just a full gamut of what you all offer to your customers?
Okay. We'll offer you starting in January, we offer a meat buyers club every 6 weeks where you can buy beef, pork, or chicken. From there, we move into our strawberry season that happens in May. After the strawberry season, first week of June, you have a weekly buyers club where you buy vegetables off the farm, and that lasts for 18 weeks. We also offer you, if you want to get started in your own pig operation, we'll sell you feeder pigs or we'll sell you a sow. If you want to buy a cow to start your own herd, we'll do that. We just now brought on eggs, so we're offering eggs as long as we can get them. So the egg production's a new thing for us. So we're pretty much we'll offer you, if you want something in the food sector besides milk, we'll try to have it for you.
Okay, and on your vegetables, is there pretty much anything you'd find in a summer garden? Or you mentioned strawberries, which not everybody has in a garden, but is there anything that you all are known for vegetable-wise in what you do?
We try to have basically the core 6 or 7 items, but we're very much known for our yellow watermelons. People tend to always want a yellow watermelon. Not that it's that much sweeter or any sweeter, but it's a different look. So, when you're selling baskets, you don't want it to be mundane where every time's the same, it's the same. So when your customer can cut this watermelon and they're surprised that it's yellow, that's always a good, or you might give them purple potatoes instead of red potatoes. So not that any of these things are better or worse, but it makes it where it never gets stale. So they're excited, what's going to be the surprise in the package this week? So that's kind of how, we just try to keep it fresh.
Yeah, and so that kind of brings us to another point in finding that customer base. When you started off, what was the way that you used to try and find customers to buy your CSA baskets that you were offering to them for sale?
When we first started, there was no Facebook yet. So we started out we made flyers, and we'd put them on cars in parking lots. We'd put them in, we'd put them in your mailbox. Find out that wasn't supposed to be, it was illegal, so had to quit doing that. But we would just put a flyer anywhere we could get it. Anywhere that somebody would ask us or allow us to speak about what we would do, we would take that time and tell our story. And our customers helped build our customer base because they would tell somebody what they liked about it. So if they're singing our praise, then other people would jump on board. So it started out, maybe the first year we had 7 baskets a week. And now I think we do 80 to 100 because people get to pick and choose week by week. So it never goes over 100, never goes usually under 80. And that's usually our sweet spot.
So it's not with the CSAs you're doing, are you offering them the chance to stay enrolled? Do they sign up and stay enrolled for all 18 weeks, or can they come in and out during that period of time?
That's your choice because that's your I can't tell you your finances. And that's one thing that I think a lot of customers have liked for us. If you'll trust me with a one-time commitment for 18 weeks, we're going to give you a discount. But if you can't come up with that type of money, which is understandable, or you travel a lot, maybe you don't need a basket every week, you'll pay the certain amount of money, $25 if you pick up in Hodgenville or $30 if we deliver, and you'll pay that as you want it. As long as you have your order in by Thursday, you can get a basket.
Okay.
But you get a basket after the people that signed up first, that paid up front, they're priority. You know? And one of the things that really made our clientele build in Hodgenville is we have a vegetable stand that we run on Saturdays, and my dad set up at it. Well, they'd be at the stand and they'd see all these people driving up in the carport, and they're like, man, what's going on with them? And I said, oh, those are special customers. And so they want to know how they could become special. So we tell them, let's come up here and talk about it. And then slowly but surely, more people are going up there instead of coming to the stand now. So it's been a great opportunity.
That's good. Well, it all comes back to kind of figuring out who your customer is, and sounds like you got that dialed in pretty good. That's really cool. What about so what was your first year of farming?
I moved back to Kentucky in 2004. I farmed as a kid and had a few cows, but I moved back to Kentucky and started farming, just raising cows in 2004 is when I came back and started farming on my own.
All right. So if you started in 2004, that's what? How long ago has that been now? 20 years? You've been farming 20 years. So kind of for some of the folks that are just starting out that might be watching this and listening in, what do you mind to share? What's one thing, if you could change one thing in that 20-year history of your farming career, what might that be?
I feel like I started into my farming career all the way backwards, because when we started farming, you wasn't farming if you wasn't raising cows, corn, tobacco, the core things that people in Kentucky grew. So we started out with cattle, which was probably the hardest return on money or the slowest return on money. If I was to start all over, I would try to find somebody that had 2 acres that I could rent, or maybe 2 acres to 20 acres, and I would raise some meat chickens, some layers, a few vegetables, because I could get return on my money faster. And that way I could build up my cash flow without going in debt, and I could keep my debt load low, and I could build my customer base as I grew my finances and as I grew my product. And like I said, I always say it's a 3-legged stool. You got to have the product, you got to have the finances, you got to have the customers. So you got to make sure they all grow together, because without one, you can't balance this thing.
Yeah. I think that's good advice for anybody, because we talk record keeping a lot in what we do at KCARD and keeping up with the books and stuff. So that's where we stand strong in, or I do. But then other people on our staff stand strong in developing that customer base, and then the other pieces that go with it. So I think that's great advice for everybody to hear. Well, Travis, I appreciate you joining in with us today and taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. Is there anything that as we wrap up, is there anything that you'd like to make sure and leave with beginning farmers to ponder on as they wind down their time together?
I would tell beginning farmers to just don't give up. You're going to have days that don't work out well. You're going to have seasons that don't work out well. But that doesn't determine that you're not a good farmer. That just determines you just have to go through some adversity. And there's going to be bumps in this thing always. So just stay the course, stay focused, don't give up, and don't quit your day job too soon. A lot of people want a full-time farm, and there's nothing wrong with that. But make sure that you have your finances strong enough so you don't starve the profit out of your farm by trying to take care of your family. That'd be some of my major advice.
I think that's great advice to end on. Well, Travis, I appreciate your time today again, and we'll catch up later on. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yep.